Well, hello, hello. I will be honest with you. I have been running late. I have been sweating through my makeup and my lighting is really weird today, but we're going live anyway. So I'm really excited to be back, honestly. I've been getting some really wonderful feedback about this little mini series. It's been slightly off the cuff, but I think is quite relevant because as I've mentioned, firstly, if you've missed any of the other episodes, I will include links in the description box and in the comments after this live stream, so you can go check the other episodes because they're going to make a lot more sense if you watch them all together. But basically, I have been getting a lot of feedback lately from people saying that their biggest struggle is just really knowing what to focus on when. There's just so much overwhelm because if you hadn't already noticed, we are bombarded with information on social media every single day, and we're following people who are at completely different stages of the journey to us. So we're exposed to all of these ideas and kind of standards of content and confidence that starts to mess with your head because you go, well, they're successful and they're doing that, so therefore does that mean I need to do this thing as well? So then we start adding all of these ideas to our strategy, feeling like we have to do all the things, and what usually ends up happening is that we just completely crumble under all the pressure and end up doing nothing or doing it really inconsistently. So my hope for this series that we're doing, which is really like the journey to in-demand brand, is about kind of breaking down what these stages look like and what we could be focusing on at each stage of the journey so that we don't get overwhelmed, so we actually see results and faster than if we were to get completely, caught up in the mess of it all. I personally, it's so funny. I was talking to my original coach yesterday, and I was saying how, I really want to help people not make all the same mistakes that I made. And what I kind of ended up realizing in the process is actually, a lot of those mistakes helped me get to where I am today, and I actually don't regret making them. So I was thinking about it going, well, it's not about not making mistakes. We actually have to make mistakes. We have to experiment and try things out in order for us to get the clarity that we need to move to the next step. So it's not about that. So I'm not going to say, stop making mistakes, stop trying, stop failing. Failure, trying things over and over again, is absolutely essential to success. So instead, what my focus really is going to be about is taking action, because it's the overwhelm that leads to inaction. And inaction means guaranteed zero results. We're just going to be sitting there hiding. So I guess that's what this, in essence, what this series is about, is really just getting clear on what to take action on. So you're at least doing something, knowing that doing something, trust me, even if it maybe is the wrong thing, if it doesn't quite work, that is the key to you figuring out what you actually do need to do and moving forward again. So I really hope this is proving helpful so far. And today we are diving into how to build momentum. I can't say my own title. How to build momentum as a personal brand in progress. Now, I've mentioned it once before. I'll mention it again. If you have not taken my personal branding quiz, like the What's Your Expert Status quiz, that is going to tell you what stage of the process you're at. You may be able to figure it out from what I'm talking about anyway, but if you are not into guesswork, head to personalbrandingproject.co/quiz, take it, and you'll be given one of 4 results. So this is part 2. So last week we did how to build a personal brand from scratch. So basically what to do when your industry's best kept secret. Today is talking about being a personal brand in progress. So a few signs that will kind of tell you that you're a personal brand in progress is that you have been landing clients, you've been making people happy, you may even have some decent revenue coming in. This actually has nothing to do with revenue. What it has to do with is you starting to get really crystal clear on the kinds of people that you love working with versus the kinds of people that drive you crazy. So really being able to identify who your dream client is, knowing the kinds of people you want to stay away from, and also really finding your zone of genius within the work that you do. Because often when you're an industry's best kept secret, it's all about saying yes. You say yes to everything. You take on all kinds of work that is seemingly related, but sometimes it just feels like you're doing a little bit of everything. I definitely did that. I was volunteering to work with people from every kind of industry, writing every kind of copy, and it was all over the place. But it was important because how else are you going to know what you love doing and what you don't love doing? So by the end of sort of my first year of saying yes to just about everything, I had a really weird but great portfolio. And I had some real clarity on where I started to feel resistance around certain kinds of work and where I got really excited about certain kinds of work. So if you're kind of feeling like, all right, I'm ready, like I want to narrow down a bit. I want to be more picky with the kinds of people I want to work with. I want to narrow down my services offering. I want to become more of a specialist in something, and therefore also ready to put my prices up. Because let's be honest, when your industry's best kept secret, you are, probably not making heaps and heaps of money, and that's okay. Like, you've got to earn your stripes. But when you're a personal brand in progress, you've proven yourself now. You've got some social proof. You've got the confidence, because that is the most important thing. I mean, I don't think people talk about this enough, but one of the reasons we feel terrified often of putting up our prices and asking for that certain rate is like sometimes we're not trying to jump ahead. We almost like bump up our prices too fast, and our own self-confidence, our self-belief isn't matching that yet. So it's really important that it feels good to you, whatever price you're going to be charging, and not worrying about what everyone else is charging, what everyone else is telling you to charge. But yeah, being a personal brand in progress means we are starting to think about these things, starting to position you as a specialist, starting to attract premium clients who really do appreciate your work and are paid to potentially pay a little bit more than maybe what they would have been paying for, that generalist. So those are a couple of things. We're also looking at really starting to streamline. So this is what I did. Like, this is one of those mistakes that I actually don't want you to make. I stayed doing everything manually for a really long time. So I was quoting everything from scratch. Like, even though I had templates and things, it was still a lot of manual labor. I had nothing automated about my client experience. So like, from taking inquiries through to responding to them and then sending them forms and whatnot, like that was all just me on my own doing that. And it was very time consuming, and it meant not everyone got exactly the same experience, which I'm a big believer in making sure that you set the bar for yourself with client experience. So during this stage, I think if you want to really get ahead of the game and not do what I did and have to go back and fix all of these things later on, it's time to think about your client experience and creating a wow experience. Not just wowing people on social media and up until the point that they inquire, but from the second that they, hit send on your application form or your inquiry form, I want them to be like, whoa, all the way through working with you and then offboarding, okay? So that they become super fans for life and they start advertising your business for you. Something else that I didn't do was I honestly did not even think about, it's kind of ridiculous to think about now, but like, I did not think about building an email list. I wasn't really doing anything on social media. Like, honestly, for my 3 years as just a copywriter before I started looking at, coaching and creating courses and things like that, I was just in client mode, just in survival mode. And so this is where I really kind of identified the difference between freelance mindset and starting to actually think like a business owner. So staying as a freelancer means you're not really setting huge goals for yourself. You're not really thinking way into the future. And you are also, probably just in survival mode of like, okay, like how many clients do I need to survive this month? Okay, I'll just try and land that many clients. I've shared this before. I'll share it again. I'm not ashamed to let you know. Like, I had this budget that just included my absolute essentials to survive, not even saving. Like, I didn't let myself dream that big. So funnily enough, I always managed to get by. I always landed exactly the number of clients that I needed to cover what I needed that month. And, sometimes that was a decent amount that I needed to bring in, because I would, if I knew I was traveling somewhere, I'd add that to the budget. But I never went beyond. So I never set myself up with any cushion. I never had any money to reinvest in myself, into my business. I had no savings. Like, I was just full freelancer in survival mode. And that puts us at a huge disadvantage. This is where we're actually really letting ourselves down, because when you have no cushion, no safety net, you don't actually feel safe. This is when, if you have a lean month, you start to make exceptions. You start to say yes to people that you wouldn't normally say yes to, whether it's because of who they are, whether it's what their business represents, whether it's the kind of project, and you don't want to take it on. And so this is a huge thing. And I'm still guilty of this, putting myself in a position where I don't feel like I have the freedom to choose. And this is, honestly, it's going to become I'm going to be talking about this a lot moving forward, because I think the freedom of choice, feeling like we can decide how we want to spend our day. We get to say yes to who we want to say yes to, no to who we want to say no to. If you want to take a day off, you just take a day off and look after yourself. This is why we became entrepreneurs in the first place. And yet, I don't know what percentage it is, but I feel like probably 90%, 95% of entrepreneurs stay in that freelance service provider mode and never get to that point where they actually have a business that supports their dream lifestyle. I'm still working on it, because this is a mindset issue more than it is like a strategy issue. So, which is why we're going to be talking about it a lot more. So, long story short, in this phase of your business, I want you to really start setting some guidelines for yourself. I want you to get clear on your vision. How do you want to spend your day and your week? What are the big goals that you really have? Like, what is your zone of genius, and how can we make sure you're spending more time in it? How can we make sure that the value that you deliver really justifies you bumping up those prices so you start getting paid a premium? And when all of this kind of stuff starts to happen, also really getting so clear on who you are and what makes you different, and why you are just like your audience's best possible solution, really becoming that go-to expert for them, so that you start to really get that recognition and building demand for what it is that you do. So I guess coming back to the how, and some of the things that I'd be saying to focus on and I've kind of already touched on this, but I would be really looking at nailing down that client experience. So from looking at when people come on from the very beginning, what happens when they inquire with you, when you maybe hop on a call with them, what is your proposal process like, what is your communication process like throughout the project, like really making sure that it is airtight so that people are just blown away by you and have the most incredible experience. And then I also want you to be thinking about, okay, is there a way I can narrow down my offering in some way? Do I want to narrow down the industries that I work with? Do I only want to work with companies that have certain values? Is there just like a signature service that I want to offer? Like, for instance, if you're a website designer, and you've been just like doing custom quotes for people for like all different shapes and sizes of projects, do you want to kind of narrow down and say, like, I do this kind of website best, and here's my pricing for it, and have people actually really it's really sort of what they call like productizing your services, where you pre-package them and make the decision-making process really easy for your clients, but it also is easy for you because you're not doing custom quotes all the time. You start to increase the billable hours because more of the work you're doing is actually getting paid, whereas you're obviously not getting paid when you're creating proposals and getting information from people to try and figure out how to build that proposal. So that's another thing. So narrowing down your focus, do you want to position yourself as an expert in a particular industry, style of work, values-based? Like, it's completely up to you. But as you start to narrow down, it gets easier for you to become the go-to expert, because generalists don't become go-to experts. Generalists aren't experts. It's like an oxymoron, I think. So those are a couple of things. And then also starting to think to the future. Like, let's be honest, if whether or not you have plans to eventually create a one-to-many offer, whether that's through like coaching people, having some sort of agency model, having courses, whatever that one-to-many looks like, or you just want to make it really easy to book yourself out every time you open up your books, the fact is, starting to think about building an email list is going to be like give you the most leverage that you can possibly have, and going to take all the pressure off. Like, I talk about this in my new program, Expert Status Content, taking the pressure off social media and not having to worry every time they make an announcement. You don't have to be like, oh no, like, what am I going to do? You don't have to worry, because you've got an email list sitting right there full of people who are excited to work with you. So that would be point number 3, is really think to the future and go, okay, is it time? Like, should I just start building an email list now? It's like building an ark for yourself for when there's a flood. Without that email list, you feel really, just, I guess it is that place of not feeling like you have choice, not feeling like you have safety, you don't have any sort of backup plan. It's always week to week, month to month, which is it's a really stressful way to be living. It's how I spent, even though I was booked out all the time, there was always that thing in the back of my head of like, what if this dries up? Like, what if the next person doesn't come? What am I going to do then? And so that kept me in this fear-based decision-making process, saying yes to stuff that didn't light me up, that was just another job. Like, I lost count of the number of projects I took on going, oh, well, it's good money. At least they've got a budget. I don't want you to do that. I honestly don't, because there are people out there that have the budget and are your dream clients who are like, you're going to adore working with them. But as soon as you take on people that don't light you up, you're taking up space. There is no more room for the dream client to fit in, because the funny thing is, like, non-dream clients, we call them Peters, pain in the ass clients. They take up more space than the good people, unfortunately. They tend to become energy vampires, even if they don't mean to. They might be like wonderful human beings, but just the fact that you don't actually want to work with them really deep down means it's going to zap you of your energy, which is going to leave you with very little left over to be doing all the other things that are going to attract the dream clients. And I am not on my pedestal here, like not on my high horse, like telling you to do these things because I'm just like, oh, I know best. I'm telling you because I have done it over and over again. I have made so many decisions from this place and then ended up regretting it because I just realized I was so depleted I couldn't do anything else. And so now my mission is to help get you leveraged, like help get you seen as that expert, build that demand for you, like with people who actually see your value, who you're excited to work with. So you're so busy looking after amazing people, you just don't even have to consider working with anyone who doesn't excite you. Okay, so that is the plan. So I really hope that something resonated here. I mean, this is the kind of thing that sometimes, like, you might be thinking about this even if you're at the very beginning of the journey, or you may be way down the track, and on the surface it looks like, you know, you've got tons of demand, like you've got a really big following, heaps of inquiries. But if those inquiries aren't coming from people that you like, that are the match, that energetic match for who you want to be working with, then you could be like a go-to expert who's kind of positioned themselves in the wrong way, in a way that's just not going to work for you. So that's where, this is why my framework for brand strategy is cyclical. You know, we always come back to the first step of getting clear and getting on your positioning, on your vision, on your mission, on your why, so that we can make sure that all the other activities that you're doing in all the other pillars, like get seen, get heard, get paid, they're in alignment with that first piece. Because if anything in that first piece is not clear, then we've got a problem. Like you're going to attract the wrong things, or you just won't be attracting things at all. So it always comes back to the very beginning. How do you want to feel? How do you want to spend your time? What do you want to be known for? What do you believe you are placed on this earth to do? Let's make sure that the way you're showing up online, in real life, is actually sending out that signal so that you get paid to do that. It's simple as that. I know it's not always super simple, but in theory, like on paper, we can actually have a plan that gets you there. It's usually the mindset that gets in the way, because we start to think that we're not worthy of this, and that, but who am I to make these kind of demands? I'm lucky just to be getting paid to work from home. And my kind of question to you is like, yeah, but if you created this business to escape a lot of the things that you didn't like about working in an office, like, have you actually got that right now? Or have you created another soul-sucking 9-to-5 for yourself where you just happen to work from home? It hurts, like it stings to be asked that question. I had to ask myself it yesterday. And I realized that there are some things that I'm doing in my business that make me very like feel very like no not hold on I can't speak that leave me feeling almost the same way that I did when I was in that soul sucking 9 to 5. And so that was a wake up call. I was like, oh, okay, I need to make some adjustments. Somehow I let myself slip back into this. So it's an ongoing process. It's not easy, but I'm here to help. Let me know how you're going. Let me know where you are maybe struggling a bit more at the moment. If you want some, specific guidance in any particular direction, I'm really happy to help. I'm here. So leave me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget, if you haven't taken it already, go personalbrandingproject.co/quiz to find out which of the 4 phases you're at so that you can pay particular attention to that episode. But as I said, I'll include links to all of the other episodes below this video so that you can go get caught up and check them out. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week.